Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining us on today's live stream. I'm Kevin Schultz, XCOM Marketing Manager here at Firaxis Games, and it's a very exciting day The Tactical Legacy Pack has launched for PC, Mac, and Linux. This is the new DLC for XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. It adds new missions, new maps, new soundtrack, new weapons, new armors, tons of stuff. And the best part about it, it's all free. If you own War of the Chosen on PC, Mac, or Linux, you already have it. You've had it for the last couple hours. If you get War of the Chosen anytime between now and December, you get you get the Tactical Legacy Pack for free as well. Starting on December 3rd, TLP goes on sale for $7.99, so don't wait to pick up the offer. It's a great little thing. We're going to be showing it off today on the live stream. I have a couple of the devs from the XCOM team joining me today. Let me introduce them while they're here. It's the lead producer, Quentin McCall, and lead designer, Brian Hess. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. It's launch day. How are you feeling? Are you exciting? People are playing it right now.
It's amazing. Launch day is always the best day. It's the culmination of, countless months of time, sweat, and energy put into a product. And this is, it's just been a labor of love. Like this Tactical Legacy Pack has been an amazing ride, and we're just super stoked that people are actually playing it like as we speak right now. Yeah. It's always a humbling experience working beside so many talented and passionate developers. And some of these guys have been making XCOM for the past decade. And so coming back and revisiting some of the EU and EW maps and armors and weapons, it really was an amazing experience. And then bringing those forward, seeing them in the X2 engine, seeing them in the X2 game is just awesome. So
cool.
What do you think?
I'm having trouble forming words. I'm so excited.
Right? Pretty cool.
No words. So I think for the most part, this is the first time you guys have been on the stream. We did a challenge mode stream when War of the Chosen launched.
We did. I believe I was victorious in that stream.
You were great. Why don't you tell the people watching a little bit what you do, your history with the XCOM series, the team?
Sure. My name is Clint McCall. I'm the lead producer for this Tactical Legacy Pack. I've been with Firaxis for quite some time. Joined back in the Civ 4 days and have been helping the XCOM franchise since the beginning. How about you?
My name is Brian Hess. I was the lead designer on the Tactical Legacy Pack. I joined Firaxis in time to work on Enemy Within as a level designer. I was the lead level designer on XCOM 2 and War of the Chosen, and as mentioned, the lead designer on this pack.
Cool. And that was something we hit on last week, was that TLP gave a lot of people on the team an opportunity to do something a little different. Like Brian Theodore was the art director.
That's
Before
right.
then, he was
Art manager.
Yeah. And so this was very cool to see you get the chance to go from level design to lead design. And that kind of leads us into something you've brought. You've brought a few assets that show your work updating these maps from Enemy Within, specifically the Newfoundland map from Enemy Within. Can we cut to those screenshots that Brian brought?
Yeah, so we did a lot of research and trying to choose which maps to remaster for the Tactical Legacy Pack. And we asked a lot of people, both internally on the internet, and one of the maps that kept making everybody's top 10 list was Newfoundland, which was added for the Enemy Within expansion. And in looking at this map, we found that this, more than any other map that we had, deserved more than just a map remake. And so we ended up making a campaign out of it, which is It Came from the Sea campaign that we'll play today. But first, we had some work to do. We changed the way that we made maps on XCOM 2. We moved to a procedural level generation system. So the first thing we had to do was look at the Newfoundland map. This map, this is a screenshot of the original map, highlighting its presence as a waterfront map. And so we had to build this in tiles in such a way that we could present waterfronts of different sizes and shapes in the way that we've constructed the other XCOM 2 maps. So here is our first stab at rebuilding a waterfront as an XCOM 2 map tile. This is a gray box built by a level designer. This is before it got pretty. And
Can I say the screenshot before this one of the original map? It's so crazy to see it this way because it looks so small, but it's not when you're playing it. And I can picture how many turns it takes to get from point A to the end point, and then I guess back again. So it's just like crazy to see it like presented this way.
So we have the gray box here, and afterwards, this is after Lee, our environment. Yeah, it also helps illustrate it, and made it some custom assets to fill it in. And then this is the final version that ended up shipping with the pack. This is set for nighttime, and it's all dressed up and ready to go. So this is a straightaway map tile, and we've also created inside corners and outside corners so that we can have these different kinds of waterfronts. So in It Came from the Sea, it's a 7-mission campaign, and 3 of those missions take place in what has become this small town waterfront. These are screenshots from those 3 missions where we're still using essentially Newfoundland maps, but they are presented in a way, they're in a different biome, they're at a different time of day, the layouts are different, so they look and play different each time you play them, which was a theme we were going through for level design with XCOM 2. Additionally, we've added the waterfront maps to the campaign. So if you play through the campaign now, if you're on a guerrilla ops mission, there's a decent chance you may find yourself on the same waterfront you died in Newfoundland.
That's real cool. That's something when we're playing, I'm interested to hear from you, is how you not only reimagined the maps for X2, but you changed and updated them slightly based on XCOM 2's. It's got different, faster, tactical gameplay. That how you translated if there were any challenges.
That's true. We've learned a lot about making XCOM maps for having done it so long.
That's a fact.
While they are remasterings of original Enemy Unknown maps, it's not a one-to-one match. I'd like to think we've made improvements. We've also reconstructed them in such a way that they'll fit in as tiles in our procedural system. One of the things that came up that I noticed on the internet, we've thrown out the idea of 28 maps. Well, we've generated 28 maps specifically for the Central's archives, but the actual number of maps that go into the game, there are dozens of maps, and they'll all be entered into the campaign. And so if you are playing through, the way that our decking system works, as soon as you have TLP installed, the next time you launch a tactical map, whether you're in the middle of a campaign or a new campaign, you will immediately begin seeing TLP content. It may not be the entire map is new, but some element stands a good chance of being something that we created for TLP.
Right.
Cool.
Very cool. It was interesting because we couldn't just do a one-to-one match. We couldn't just take that Newfoundland map and say, okay, we're going to recreate it completely in X2. It just wouldn't have worked. And so when we're, like you said, going through and revisiting how best to kind of lay it out, you're right. We've addressed and seen a lot of the layout and cover-to-cover issues that you have when you're actually playing through these spaces. And we said, tighter, a little bit more low cover, high cover options everywhere is a good thing. And I think these maps play better.
Glad to hear you say that.
You did your job.
Yeah, right?
Says the boss. Well, cool. Let's hop into the game and play some of these missions. You guys are going to take some turns, right?
Yep.
Here, let me hand you the mouse and keyboard.
Sure.
And it's up to you to guide us through.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
You want to drive real quick on the front end?
Yeah. Let's show off all the new stuff. I forgot about.
We're just super stoked and excited about everything that's in this. As you can see, this is a gas station background that's pretty amazing. Shout out to Andrew Griffin for all of his great work getting this scene put together.
There's a few of these, right?
Yeah, there's a handful of these. There's 4 legacy ops telling 4 different stories in between that time frame of the fall of XCOM Enemy Unknown and the start of XCOM 2. And as you play through, you'll notice that this screen will change and update. And I'm excited for people to find some of the other screens that we've done because they're really cool.
Yeah.
If you click on options real quick, one of the really exciting things is that there's a ability to switch what soundtrack you listen to on the fly. You can switch this in the middle of a tactical game or at the beginning. You can switch between the original Michael McCann Enemy Unknown soundtrack or the War of the Chosen, or a brand new one that we just reimagined and wrote new tracks for called XCOM UFO Defense. It's inspired and in honor of the original 1990 release, and it was an interesting challenge to do the research and kind of figure out how to bring that sound and those iconic tracks into the present day. And we really relied on a lot of like 80s synth horror and modern day dark synth bands to kind of inspire us. And the guys just blew it out of the water. Like Adam Schneider and Chris D'Ambrosio are just magic makers. So
yeah,
you know.
They are super fun to work with because
Yeah.
like they're so good at this. I had the pleasure of working with Adam to make a little funny little remix of Valen's favorite line.
Yeah, that was so
for
great.
a stupid video. But like every version that he gave me of this silly song that he made was like perfect. And then he
Right.
said, "Hold on, let me improve it." And then he did, like knocked it out of the park every
And
time.
it's-
So they're awesome guys.
And it's amazing. Like even just playing through the game with a new soundtrack, it just changes the whole feel, and it's
Absolutely.
so cool.
Yeah.
So if you click on Legacy Hub,
Bam.
this is where you're going to find all the new stuff that comes with the Tactical Legacy pack. First on the right, you'll see the Challenge Archives. This is when we released this originally with War of the Chosen. One of the first initial feedback was, "Wow, this mode is really great. I wish I could play it more." Kind of sucks that I'm like bound to just a single one every day. And so we said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we just gave them all of the approved maps and have at you? You know, go ahead, you can play to your heart's content as many times as you want through some really difficult challenges.
These are really great to just like go through if you have some time because they're not just like, in most cases they're not just a standard XCOM match. There's like some
Right.
sort of concept that's on display and makes the mission somewhat special.
Sure,
somewhat.
sure. The maps themselves are interesting, small, tight, confined spaces, or it's a really interesting matchup between either the types of soldiers that you're using or even aliens versus, you know, maybe their arch nemesis or something that just like, wow, how am I going to solve this puzzle? Because this is a really difficult matchup. So.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I enjoyed most about playing the challenge missions is oftentimes your squad involves aliens that you typically would only play in multiplayer, or soldiers with items you may not have built or played with during the campaign. And so it's refreshing in that there's some tactical scenarios, even if you've had multiple campaign playthroughs, you may not have yet experienced.
Yeah. I think there's like a handful in here where you get a sectopod and you fight a sectopod. And it's just this like funny like titans of the war fighting each other. Cool. So that's Challenge Archives. You want to talk about Skirmish? A little
Sure,
bit?
yeah, Skirmish Mode is neat. This is, you know, you can jump in here, you can select your squad, select what map you want to be on, your opponents, what the mission objective is, and then just jump in and play a tactical mission. And so it's a quick, easy way to jump into whatever experience that you want to craft right away. This is really great for anybody that wants to tell their own story and just jump in. One thing I want to clarify, some people were saying that this is a map editor, and we want to be clear, this is not in any shape or form a map editor, it is a mission editor. So it'll allow you to craft a mission experience and then jump in using the existing maps that are available for campaign.
Cool. Did you have something to say? Did I cut you
No,
off?
well,
Okay.
there are some primitive controls over the maps that you will get yourself, but it is generated using the same procedural system that the XCOM 2 campaign does. The most of the control you have over the soldiers you're playing with, the enemies you're experiencing, the type of mission you're doing, that sort of thing.
Right. And this was actually a pretty big task. This was taking and trying to put a player-facing UI on a dev tool that we've been using for years, and some of us weren't really sure if we were going to be able to pull it off and get it to a place that we were really happy with and release with it. And we just believed in it, stuck with it, and I'm happy that it made it into the final product.
Definitely. Cool. So the meat of the new experience, the Tactical Legacy pack, is the Legacy Operations. You want to give us the skinny on what we're seeing here?
Sure. This is the hub for Legacy Operations. As you can see, there's two different modes. There's a Centrals Archives and a Resistance Archives. Centrals Archives takes you on 4 distinct storyline campaigns through that decade period of time in between the loss of XCOM 1 and the beginning of XCOM 2. Blast from the Past is Central learning about some rumors of maybe some guerrilla resistance, and it sparking a fire within him to want to meet up with these guys, go back to the old base and kind of scrounge together whatever resources he can to start bringing the fight back to the aliens. It came from the Sea, which is the Legacy Ops that we're gonna jump into today for you, is all about this radio DJ who got cut off when the aliens destroyed his entire radio network, and so he decided that he was going to scrap together some alien technology and some radio antennas and keep broadcasting because the people needed to hear his voice. Unbeknownst to him, his alien technology turned into more of a alien lure and brought in a whole bunch of chrysalids. And so early on, this is the story of how Central's trying to contend with this massive chrysalid threat. And it's also a little bit of a story of how the radio DJ from WotC became the radio DJ in there. And for those of you that don't know, it's a really neat guy to work with. That's Jake Busey, who's voicing the radio DJ.
Yeah. Cool.
The next one is Avenger Assemble, and that's the story of Lily Shen and everything that she is doing in preparation up to that very first tutorial mission in XCOM 2, where you have to get the Avenger off the ground. Well, before that mission, there was a lot of other scavenging and a lot of other work that she had to do in order to get everything together. And so that tells the initial story and the musings of her thinking back to Raymond Shen and just what was going through her mind while she was trying to pull the ship together. And last is the Lazarus Project. And this one's really neat because this one is a whole bunch of like VIP rescue missions where you're going out and you're actually rescuing some of the pivotal and important people that started XCOM 2. Everybody that was in the tutorials from like, was it Jane Kelly and Ramirez and Osei. There's just a handful of just really cool background stories as we got to dig into those characters, where they were, how they were fighting the resistance, how they popped up on Central's radar. Pretty neat. And then for the Resistance Archives, that's basically the same experience without this narrative wrapper around it, so that you can jump in and play this 7 tactical mission like micro campaign. Yeah, it's like a little gauntlet without having any kind of narrative wrapper around it. So that, in a sense, I mean, you can create your own story and tell your own stories and while you play through those. Yeah. And a little bit just on the gameplay is that it is 7 consecutive tactical missions back to back to back. When you complete it, you go to this small little wrapper position where you make a binary choice of whether or not you want to select grenades or maybe ammo or a PCS upgrade or some other thing that might help you. All along the way, you're soldiers will be upgrading to the next tier of armor and weapons, as well as gaining ranks and abilities. And at the same time, matching you, the enemy schedule will be upgrading as well. And so it's not every single turn, but it is maybe once every 2, sometimes every 1 turn, or not turn, mission, it will do a mass upgrade for everybody.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to clarify about the Resistance archives. When you create a new Resistance archive, it automatically generates 7 missions in a row based off of missions that you would play in an XCOM 2 campaign. You then play through those missions for score, very similar to the Central's archives. So once you've played through the archives, you've digested that content, but you still want more and you love our new format, you can continue to generate Resistance archives indefinitely.
Cool.
And it's another little incentive as well is that you know, we've jam-packed all the content that we made for this DLC into this experience. So all of your soldiers are going to be wearing the TLP armors, using the TLP weapons, and as you get bronze level medals in each of these Central Archive stories, that content is then unlocked for your single player campaign.
Awesome. Excuse me. I guess we can keep going into it. Let's get the mission started. We'll keep talking through it. But did I pick the right one?
You sure did.
Then but I did this last time where I continued
Yeah.
previous stream.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So I just have to go out and come back and say abandoned, and it's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Everyone panic. Spoiler.
Up, back, up.
Spoiler.
Spoiler.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see anything.
You didn't see nothing. Do you guys have a personal favorite of the legacy operations?
It's a hard one. Because, I mean, they're all really interesting and great in their own right, but...
Oh.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna cut you off. What difficult are we playing?
Oh,
that's it. That's a great question. I mean,
We're playing story.
all right.
okay.
This was a big debate as of 10 minutes before the stream. We were trying to decide if we wanted to do Nightmare or not. It's very
Nightmare's tough, man.
very
It's
tough.
really, really tough. You know, the story's good, and we call it story mode because that'll allow you to get through this experience and enjoy this trip down memory lane. But Nightmare mode, it's not for the faint of heart. They'll definitely put it to you.
You
So,
gonna take first mission?
sure, here we go.
All right.
All right. So what's Central talking about?
So here we go. Touching down into where we think we're getting some sort of reports of heavy infestation.
This sure does look like a small town waterfront to me.
Does it?
I wonder if before the end of this we'll find out what did come from the
Let's
city.
push back this fog of war. What's that?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
What is that?
So this is cool. You got some new chrysalids.
Yeah.
The white chrysalids, which I believe is a reference to Enemy Unknown. Or not.
Well,
I thought it was.
you know, one of the challenges in setting up a campaign around chrysalids is chrysalid is a mid-game enemy where you're expecting soldiers to be of a certain power level. And our legacy ops are, I guess we've described them as a microcosm of the campaign. And so each mission you're playing, all your soldiers are leveling up to a new rank each mission. Well, that means the first mission, everybody's a corporal. And a chrysalid will make short work of a series of corporals. We've run into this problem on previous DLC. In the Alien Hunters, we sent you into a nest of vipers. And likewise, the number of vipers we presented made a full-strength viper quite a feat. So
here we go.
Created neonate vipers. And likewise, earlier on in the campaign, you'll be up against white-colored neonate chrysalids, who are slightly more forgiving to the underranked soldier.
Yeah, and I thought the Vipers in Alien Hunters, those neonate Vipers, they got like a really good response because it's something that we hadn't done in XCOM before, to just give you like tons of lower level.
I got some guys creeping in from, what is this, a tuna factory?
What is this, a tuna?
My God.
And they're fans of XCOM based on the poster on the but it's so fun to just have these like lower HP enemies, like a big swarm of them that you can kind of.
Oh no, I got
That
chrysalids
was-
hopping out of the water.
That was a popular mechanic that we've revisited here. It came from the sea.
Yeah.
Although I dare say the neonate chrysalid is slightly more threatening than the neonate viper.
Yes.
That with the cocoons and whatnot. But Clint's not going to have that problem, so I'm not too worried about it.
That's right. We're just gonna shoot chrysalids in the face.
Yeah. See, I told you during the rehearsal, this mission didn't go so hot, but as I said, it tends to go the opposite way, and when you're doing fine, you'll be just fine.
I'm not worried about it.
Should I just one-hit kill these guys, or decisions? I just want to drop him down a notch.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
What would you have done in that situation? Now that
Well,
it's over.
I mean, the one-hit kill is definitely the preferable option.
Yeah, it would have helped.
You'll get a better Templar on the next mission.
Don't want to take that shot.
If you take a 40% sniper rifle shot, I'm going to have to take a break.
We'll be right back. Brian, can you talk a little bit about the changes that you did make to some of the, I guess maybe more so speaking of the Blast from the Past maps, the changes you had to make to make it, I don't know, cohesive with XCOM 2's gameplay? Or did you even change that much?
Oh,
I know
no.
we kind of covered this
Getting
a
flanked.
few minutes ago in the intro, but I wasn't sure if there's more specific examples.
Well, I guess there were a couple of things that stand out in researching, going back and playing through some enemy unknown levels. There was a preponderance of taking cover behind explosive vehicles. As a player, I've never been a huge fan of getting blown up, so there was certainly a goal to minimize that aspect of tactical gameplay.
It's one way to remove Overwatch.
Likewise, we've slightly increased the cover density of the maps, make it easier to engage enemies with your entire squad. Flanking has always been important, but sometimes it's been challenging, and we've made some moves to address that.
Did you yourself design the original Newfoundland map?
No.
Okay.
No, actually, that was an ex-Firaxian named Liam.
Ah, yeah, Liam. That's cool, but that's when you came on board, and
That's right.
for TLP, you had the honor of breathing new life into that little story.
Well, not only was it on most people's top 10 lists, it was on mine as well. So, I would have picked it whether other people liked it or not, to be honest.
Nothing wrong with that.
One of the other things I wanted to mention about TLP are the TLP weapons. Something we hadn't mentioned. Each of the TLP weapons come with attachments pre-installed. So you're not managing attachments while you're playing through your Central's Archives campaign. There's 3 tiers of weapons, of course. The first tier of weapons has a single attachment. As you move up to the second tier, in XCOM 2 that was magnetic, but in TLP they're laser weapons, your weapon will automatically gain a second attachment. And likewise, the third tier, plasma, will have 3 attachments pre-installed. People have been asking, how do these weapons work in the campaign? Well, first, in order to get the weapons in the campaign, you need to beat, I believe, the Blast from the Past Central's Archives campaign.
To get the weapons, yes.
In order to get the weapons. And so once you have the weapons unlocked in the campaign, the way that works is, because they have the attachments pre-installed, They're wonderful weapons. We love them, but there's also, I think, a benefit in using a variety of weapons. So each TLP weapon that we've created, you will have one of in the campaign. Very similar to the weapons that we've added from Alien Hunters. So you have a unique weapon. It has some unique appeal over the standard weapons you build in the armory, but it's a unique specimen, and it can be lost. If you leave it on a soldier as you evacuate from the battlefield, see you later. So take good care of your TLP weapons. They're worth the extra effort.
Yeah, no, it was an interesting problem that we knew we were going to have early on. Is we wanted these beautifully crafted weapons that have a ton of character that we couldn't do in the base game because of the customization system, and so why would I switch to this weapon if I know that this other weapon that I have is going to have all these perks and I can put modular weapons on it. There's no reason for me to change it out. And so that's why we knew that we had to do some sort of upgrade path for it. And it took a little bit of balancing to get it just right. What are we going to give in a tier 1 slot, tier 2 slot, tier 3? But it worked out in the end.
I'm seeing a question in chat where they're asking what's the name of the radio DJ, and I don't know if they mean the actor or if the radio DJ has a proper name within the game itself. So the actor's name, Jake Busey.
Correct.
I don't know if the guy has an actual name.
He does have a name. This is a difficult question to answer without engaging in some kind of spoiler. I think I'm going to refrain. But he does have a name, and it will be revealed to you during the campaign.
Okay.
There you go.
So what's happening? What's happening, Clint? You doing good? You doing good things?
I'm doing all right.
Have you lost any points yet?
I took a hit early on.
You're lucky I wasn't
It was,
paying attention.
little unfortunate move in the beginning, but I think I've got this.
Poison?
No chrysalid poison.
Excellent. These missions against chrysalids are often on a razor's edge. So long as no one gets poisoned, everything runs relatively
Well, and there you have it.
smoothly.
That was actually a pretty smooth run for the first
Did
one.
you just win this mission?
I did. And look at that. I'm in the green.
Oh my gosh.
Look
am
at that.
impressed. I
Look
think
at
we
that.
should
Nobody.
have done nine fairs. You were
Rating
go for
excellent.
You wanna do
One wounded. What's that?
You want to take a picture?
Yeah, we've
Sure.
got these new Photobooth options.
Yeah, show 'em
Let's
off.
see what.
Oh, look at that.
There it
Beware
is.
that scroll wheel. It's a hum and it's
Oh, yeah. True.
I would like to be vindicated. Have you try and zoom, but you don't have to. It's probably better to.
I think he's doing great.
So what are some of the new photo booth things we got? We got new backgrounds.
Yes.
A lot of cool backgrounds.
The reason why it's because it's yellow. Let's switch it to a color that we can see.
If you're playing at home and we're going through the new photo booth options, the new stuff is just at the end of the list. In
It should
most
be at
cases.
that, yeah.
It's not designated as something new, but I think at least on the background, it's like everything underneath the hunter option is the new stuff.
Right.
Look at that cool stuff.
Pretty cool.
Very cool. Got some new poses.
You're not going to take the photo?
Well, yeah, we're in the time, man.
Oh, I thought you were exiting out, but you're just backing out of menu.
So you want me to look at the poses?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the new
So
poses.
Nikita, hands on hips. And if we scroll down, there's a high five that we can set up.
That's something totally new, is that you guys added these like partner kind of poses.
That's right.
Sure, and it was always difficult, to get those to line up perfectly right and look right. But it was something that was always on the wish list, and so we tackled it for this update, and we're really happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, a little Viper bind. It's always fun, and the Muton mash.
There you go.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
And
That was something I believe Brian Theodore really wanted, right? Is the muzzle flash
The muzzle flash?
On
Yeah.
the guns that affect.
Yeah, no, it's another neat addition was getting the effects guys, Jameson and Bazell, to help out with these specific poses and getting, like, you know, the Templar's got the electricity coming across her forearms.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, muzzle flashes on the weapons, definitely cool.
Very cool.
And of course, all these iconic other Muton and Viper poses with Central. There you go.
I am immediately, as soon as
That's just great.
as soon as TLP came out, I immediately just on social, on Twitter and things, saw pictures of the new poses and things people were putting up. So people are already having some fun with that. It's not just the general poses. Like for each, at least most of the classes, we've added a few new class-specific poses.
Take the photo.
Yeah, that's correct. It's probably cool for everyone.
And a big,
yeah,
and before I forget, a big shout out as well to Kinderda and everybody else that helped kind of breathe life back into the photo booth and get all that working with these new assets. So it was a huge help. But this is what we were talking about when we said that in between every mission, there's this decision that kind of happens. Like, what do? Do you pick you know, the Mimic Beacon, which is your get out of jail free card, and it basically gives you a free turn while the AI focuses completely on the Mimic and lets you get out of a bad situation? Or do you go with what I like to say is making every single shot count? You know, your sharpshooter is going to be piercing armor, your ranger is going to be doing crazy damage, and your specialist is going to be dropping any kind of tech or robots that come at you. So me personally, it's hard for me not to pick the ammo type. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick it.
Oh,
I think that was a huge mistake. To give up a battle scanner, you know, against enemies that are constantly burrowing, and mimic beacons to take the poison for you, I would probably quit and restart this game.
No, and that's the great thing about XCOM is that while it is extremely, you know, an extremely hard and difficult game, there is no one right way to play. That's just my personal play preferences. That's what I want to do. And one thing I want to make sure that we highlight here on the screen is this is all of your dudes getting ranked up because you just were successful in the previous mission. It shows you your abilities, the new items that I just selected. And if you click on this little question mark, it pulls up a kind of bigger full rundown of exactly what your abilities are, what armor, weapons, and what's in your utility slots. And so it's a good, you can scroll through your entire squad while you're in the screen to see who has what, just so that you're prepared when you go into that next mission, you know exactly what's gonna happen. And then this is a nice little progress screen that shows you, hey, you know, am I on track to get that gold medal, or, you know, do I need to play a little better? I think that first one was pretty good. What do you think?
I think you got this.
I mean, I'm gonna hand it off now. This is kind of.
You've set me up.
I've set the bar pretty high.
That's right.
You know, so.
I mean, I'm not worried about it, but
all right,
I do
here you go.
appreciate the advanced starting point here. All right. So
do you want to talk about how the upgrades are slightly different in Resistance archives, whereas in Central's archives, the choices are always the same once you've hit
That's right.
the different missions.
There are a pool of upgrades that you can get for your squad in between missions. In the Central's archives, because the missions are fixed, the campaign is fixed, you get the same choice between every mission. However, when you're generating a random Resistance archive mission chain, you'll pull a different 2 every time. Some decisions may be more obvious than others, but every choice is worth something. And on a repeat playthrough, you may pick something that you feel is the worst choice, just to see if you can make something of it. We've had a lot of comments from people who have ended up getting items they've never bothered with in the campaign and going, hey, wow, these things are actually pretty good. Why haven't I been building these the whole time?
Yeah.
Well,
it's like, well, we put them in the game for a reason.
That's right. That's right. All right, so here we are in the second mission. This mission is a terror mission. Something that I wanted to say about missions in Central's archives, They play slightly differently than they do in the campaign because the campaign has the idea of a conditional victory. There's a strategic and a tactical objective. You could succeed one and fail the other and still have a partial success where you get fewer rewards in the strategy campaign. That is not so in Central's archives. Each one of those bullet points of objectives must be completed or you will fail. So,
no pressure.
yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of love for the soundtrack in our live stream chat. What's good to know is that if it isn't up already, it will be available on Spotify and iTunes. I believe it's on, at least right now, on Bandcamp. It's probably on the other two I mentioned as well. I just haven't checked yet. But it's an awesome soundtrack. 16-ish tracks?
16, 17 tracks, yeah.
And they're all
and it's
great.
the first, I would say like 6 or 7 are true like homages to the UFO defense. You know, it's the interception, the like loadout gear, getting ready to go on mission, the geoscape, as well as actual tactical like combat. And then beyond that, we just said, okay, this was kind of the framework that we're working in. You know, continue down this path and make some more like really creepy and really engaging, heart-pounding synth music. And man, this guy's just killed it. He really did. That album is really, really good. It's been stuck in my car so that I can just play whenever I need to. Other producer on the project, Garth, constantly quotes that his son asks all the time, you know, like, hey, turn that soundtrack on. So it's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Who had the original idea to go in that direction with the music?
Well, you mean like in the dark synth like kind of direction? I mean, the original soundtrack was a synth album actually, but it's very late 80s, 90s in the sense that it's like a single note. It's like beep, beep, and you're just like, okay, I get they were trying to build some tension there, but we're not going to do a one-to-one recreation of that. And so that's where a lot of the research and into like the current dark synth albums and artists that are out there today. I pulled a lot of inspiration from those guys, and plus, not to give credit where credit is due. It's just those, Adam and Chris are just very, very talented as well. They just kind of picked it up and ran with it. And then once we started playing the game, listening to the album when it was midway through development, we were just like, yes. We had to have people running down the hallway, coming into my office and being like, what was that? What were you just playing? And I was like, oh, this is the new album. They're like, yes, that is so amazing. So it helps to just fuel the internal development excitement for everything that was going into this game.
Yeah, I think it's right from the beginning, as soon as we announced, I think we've known for a long time because we've been listening to the soundtrack and it's the different iterations it's taken through development. But as soon as we announced, it's been like the runaway hit, I think, of TLP. Everyone's, loves the music, loves the soundtrack. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of it. Like it's really, really good, and it's good to play through the game. And honestly, like I said, it's good to drive down the road listening to it. It is well done. What was it? There's a little hiccup here. What happened? I saw you.
It certainly wasn't
go
skill
back
related,
and restart because something happened. I don't know.
Sometimes
we can edit that out.
Yeah,
This is live.
Sorry, we can't edit that out. So it was interesting. Like we really wanted to tell a story, and we really wanted to say, okay, what would it be like if you were sitting down and reminiscing with Central while he's telling all, like, oh man, we almost didn't get back off the ground, or we had to scrape for supplies, and we had to go on all these like super scary missions without any kind of infrastructure, no support. There was no base. There was no big sky or an adventure to take us to and fro, and just what were those stories and how would we tell them? And so we started crafting some ideas of what stories we would want to tell, and then mapping that out. And we're like, okay, well then what are the beats and how would we put that into the game and into the experience? Because we don't want it to interrupt the flow of the gameplay, but we wanted to have as much of an opportunity as possible to tell these rich stories. And so initially, when our first story prototype, we had all of these sound cues, all these VO cues tied to, like, the first time you see this building, he's going to say something about, oh, I remember that building. Or first time he sees this alien, oh, I remember the first time I saw that alien. And what happened was we would get to a spot where everything would trigger all at once, and we were having this train wrecking event where we would have no storytelling, and then all of the stories would pile on all at once, and then for the rest of the mission, it was just dead silence. And so we're like, okay, that's not going to work. And so we decided that the best way to go would be to kind of craft the storytelling experience so that there's this intro, and then at the start of every XCOM turn, whoever is narrating the story, be it Shen or be it Central, they get to say their little piece of, okay, this is what was happening, this was what was going through my mind, or this is, how we got through this mission. And to kind of help tell this story, I don't know if you've noticed, but every single loading screen in between these maps is unique for every single mission in Legacy Ops. And it was just another great place for us to continue to prop up this narrative story and storytelling that we were trying to do in a very kind of lightweight way, right? And there's some really creative and interesting loading screens that we came up with. You saw from Blast from the Past, it was all these kind of sketches of the towns that Central was going to, and kind of drawings of, like, is that an Advent symbol? What's this symbol I've seen? I don't know what it is. And, like, pictures of, like, possible faceless. And then for this one, if you haven't noticed, there's these really creepy, like, kind of foggy dock moments. And you're just like, this is kind of still, and oh, what was that? And there's this, like, crystal, they'll run across the screen really fast. And, shout out to Piero for, getting those all hooked up. And he did a fantastic job with them. They hit the right, line of being just creepy enough and just really tying the story together.
Someone in our YouTube live stream asked if we can add XCOM pets. It's a fair question.
XCOM pets?
Add some dogs.
I don't see why not. That's a companion animals. That's an excellent idea.
XCOM snake.
We already have an XCOM snake.
Yeah, I mean, like a real snake,
Uh-oh. Oh, put that there.
Oh my. It gets me every single time. Like, every single time. I love the transformation. It's always just so gross and goopy, and it's still, like, the Faceless is just one of my favorite enemies. He's just so cool, because it's always that inopportune moment. If you're not careful, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy this civilian, or I'm gonna go save them for extra points, and nope. You're gonna get a new face from a Faceless instead.
Something worth mentioning about the new Legacy Ops mode. There is an early bird bonus that you get by completing scoring actions like dispatching enemies or completing objectives. And the bonus is typically 20% of the total score of each individual scoring action. And it's decreased 5% or so each turn. And so, in this case, an enemy is worth 2,000 points, and then you'll get an extra 500 points on turn 1, which then keeps dropping. And so there's an encouragement to move as quickly as possible. Once the bonus is gone, it's okay to slow things down.
Right.
But, one of the things we focused on in some of the Legacy Ops missions were missions without any added time pressure, and so we often find ourselves creeping back into our Overwatch creeping ways that we all did in Enemy Unknown.
I mean, don't knock it.
Personally.
You know, it's effective. It works. I mean, I personally would never dash into the fog of war. Kevin.
Listen, to you guys and anyone on the internet critiquing how I played last week, y'all can eat my shorts.
Well, you know, there's like, you know, people always say, okay, like, what are the, how do you play XCOM? And I usually bring up what I call like some of the core tenets of the tactical game. And if you follow like some simple rules, you'll be able to get very, very far in the tactical game.
I think one of those rules is don't have 4 different conversations happening on your laptop and trying to maintain a conversation in the room at the same time, Clint.
Hey.
That's fine. I did do some very horrible things last week.
No,
Most of which were
but one of the things is if you, and I kind of broke this rule when I was playing on the first map, but that's because I kind of cheated and I knew where I was going a little bit. But if you treat low cover as no cover and high cover as low cover, that's already half the battle. You will think you're in cover and you think you have a good shot of not getting hit, and they will hit you. And so if you try to make sure that you beeline for all the high cover as much as possible, that will help. And that number 2 rule is the kind of order of operations. Like, don't waste a sniper shot or a specialist or ranger shot if you have a heavy who has shred capability or grenades. Because why not go ahead and make every single shot count? Like I was saying before when I was taking that ammo upgrade. You know, it's important that while you go around, you're making that tactical decision of, okay, should the Templar move now, or should it be, you know, this other guy because he's going to help the rest of the group? Do you have any pearls of wisdom for new players or old players alike?
You covered a lot of the good stuff. I was kind of focused on taking this tactical turn.
No, go ahead. You're doing great.
Thank you.
The moment you said that you kind of knew the maps a little bit, chat immediately turned on you. Like, that's cheating!
Well, in full disclosure, we have been making this game. And I have played this map and these maps countless times.
Something I wanted to bring up about this map, this may look familiar to those of you who played through the campaign. This is yet another shanty town that's under terror attack, but you may notice something unique about this one you hadn't seen before. The TLP unique addition to this map was the idea of the series of bridges linking 2 settlements together. And these are new content for TLP. And you'll also find your shanty towns. Oh. Must have been some serious stroke of luck on the aliens' part. You'll also see these bridges linking shanty towns throughout the campaign as you play, potentially. It's in the random pool. Something else I wanted to mention. Central is a ranger, as he was in the Alien Hunters, but Central has been more melee focused than your standard ranger. His Blade Master and Bladestorm abilities were his chosen focus as the ranger discipline, and he'll get those abilities sooner, which makes him much handier for taking care of bug infestations.
Are you guys still equipped with all, tier 1 equipment?
Yes.
Okay,
in the Legacy Ops, you don't start acquiring tier 2 gear until you get to the 3rd mission. So this particular mission, we're a little short on good gear, but fortunately we have grenades, so that guy's going to be in trouble.
Grenades and special ammo.
You know, I found the ammo just really hasn't been making that much of a difference, but I sure do wish I had a mimic beacon.
Oh man, if that specialist was actually in range though, like, you know, those blue screen rounds would have been useful against that, you know, robot that just did you in.
Did me in? Did I lose a guy?
No, well, Central It's bleeding.
Central was born to take damage. He'll be fine.
Something that I really like about the different Central's Archives stories is, so many of them reference different points from Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within, but they do them in different ways. Whereas Blast from the Past is very literal. Like, it's the maps.
Right.
Maybe, I guess it's the first time you're seeing the new equipment, but, in Came from the Sea, it's based around the story of, or it's inspired by this from Enemy Within, the Newfoundland map, the fishing village. The story after this one, Avenger Assemble, you get, you're coming across ships and downed, different pieces of equipment from those games that you're going back to and trying to acquire. So they all kind of do something different.
Yeah,
It's all
absolutely. And we were very conscious of that as well when we were laying out. We didn't want to have player fatigue of, like, didn't want you to feel like you were playing through the same missions once you went to a new story. We wanted it to feel like you were in new environments, that the mission objectives were different. That's why some of them are based around, like, VIP extractions. Other ones are, have terror missions in them with the ability to save civilians. And we were very, very conscious about trying to keep each of the experiences as unique as possible to give them that extra flavor. And it was another interesting part of balancing was early on, we weren't sure if it should have been 5 tactical missions or 6 or 7 or 8. And so we had to play with it a little bit and figure out what was the right amount of tactical missions to play through where you felt like it was enough time to tell the story we wanted to tell without it feeling like too much of a slog, or without it feeling like I was stuck on a single tier for too long. And that's why, at the completion of this one, you'll see that tier upgrade, and you'll be like, ooh, new armor, new weapons, new abilities, let's go. And yeah, we kind of came to a spot where 7 was the magic number.
Cool. Yeah, and we won't play through all of the next mission, but I do want to load into it just so we can see, like, the new equipment, or the upgraded equipment.
Well, I'm just achieving total victory as quickly as possible.
Over here behind the tree.
I did very much want to point out how delicious this piece of live cover looks.
Fish,
I mean, is
brand new.
that some fresh tuna, like on the Barbie? That's amazing.
It could have been on the way to a factory before the resistance intercepted it. I mean, this sort of visual storytelling is really unparalleled.
That's just amazing.
And we need to get rid of that armor.
There you go.
So, I think something that is not immediately obvious, but it's not just the like in Blast from the Past. It's not just that the missions are the maps are these reimagined version of fan favorite maps from Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within, but it's the mission structure. That's the word I was trying to say.
Right.
And the objectives and how it.
Sure. I mean, this is I guess you'd say a confluence of 2 different ideas, right? Because we wanted to pay an homage to that Newfoundland map, but then also we wanted to bring back the radio DJ, and that's our. We just thought he was an unsung hero of WotC. That if you never went into the bar, you probably didn't even know that Jake Busey was in that game, and he just had some really awesome lines that we loved, and we just loved the kind of spirit and character that he brought to that role, and we wanted to bring him back, and that's why we came up with this interesting story of how the radio DJ ran across the XCOM and kind of became an XCOM supporter and went off in WotC world and was doing some kind of like rebel radio from the trenches. Yeah.
Clint and I have a confession.
Yes.
I really appreciated having that fire ammo on that last turn.
Did that help?
It did.
Interesting. See,
a little bit of egg on face, but I'll take it.
This is going back to your earlier comment about how sometimes when you're forced to play with options that you normally would
right.
never have picked,
That's right.
you get, a beautiful surprise where you go, oh, wow, that's actually really useful.
That's right.
See, make every shot count.
I'm doing my best. I think we're going to lose a faceless right now. Come on.
There it is.
There's a question in chat from Christopher Odd. Hey, Christopher. He's asking, how does the generate new resistance operation work exactly? And it's very simple, right? It's just a click of a button, and the game
right.
figures it
Yep.
all out.
So once you've created a resistance op, you can then play it and replay it. It will always exist as that particular
Yep.
operation. You can create new resistance ops, or you can go back and play old ones.
Right.
Because they're random, you may find you've created one that you have a particular desire to play again, or you could go, I like different kinds of missions. We're going to try with a different mission.
And it is, I would say, semi-random, because we did pick a pool of a certain amount of squad loadouts and types, and
right.
so it rolls the dice at the start of when you click random resistance ops, and it'll say, okay, you rolled this type of game with these soldiers, and it'll start it out. So there's going to be it'll take you a while before you start to notice that there's a pattern and that you're starting to play, with some of the same dudes again. But
I would expect.
Can we load into the next mission just to
We can.
take a look at the
Let us see what else.
oh, look at this choice: PCS agility or grenades.
Now, I am
once
curious,
again,
where would you land on this?
I'll say that for me personally, I would go with the PCS upgrade, because that is a constant, always guaranteed upgrade that you benefit every single turn and always. And while some of those grenade options are awesome, don't get me wrong, like I love me some EMP, frag grenade, acid grenade, but how often do you use it? And is that a
Every
single
mission,
turn,
Clint.
single throw? And does that trump how much that's awesome? Like the PCS agility, the perception, the speed.
Yeah.
To me, it's just not a, I don't know. I think the clear winner here is the PCS upgrade. What say you?
I should also point out that on the grenades, you're going to be replacing some equipment.
That's true. That's true. Your frag grenades will be replaced with the specialty grenades. Well, I was moving my cursor over here to the PCS screen, and I found myself nodding off as it got close, and then I was getting alerted again as I got back to grenades.
Gosh.
An acid grenade with its armor shredding capabilities
Hey,
and area denial.
that's a fair point.
Now, it requires a greater degree of skill to use, so I can see why it would have less appeal, but to the properly trained commander, these specialty grenades are really going to bring it home. So we're just going to go ahead and pick the grenades.
We're going to end this live stream and go straight to HR with you soon. We got some issues to work out.
All right, so it looks like we've gotten a new tier of weapons. We have some
Ooh,
tier
look at
2
that.
weapons, an anti. Let's get a
Yeah.
good look at Leslie Campbell here with her anti-material rifle and a rail pistol.
Oh, that
Those
pistol's
are
awesome.
looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, go ahead, scroll through some of the next
Okay,
ones.
let's see what else we got. There's an improvised magnetic rifle.
Nice.
Complete. Look at this setup: blue skiing rounds, EMP grenade, a robot's nightmare,
Yeah.
and dragon rounds on the skirmisher. John
Looking
Bradford
good.
with
Look-
his augmented shotgun.
Now this sword is amazing. This is it's called the experimental blade. It's the tier 2 sword, and it's so cool. Just can't wait for you to load into it.
All right. Let's see if I can do that. Look at that
Nice.
progress.
Ooh,
Why, we're
I-
nearly at bronze. I have every.
almost at
Were
bronze.
we to have a marathon live stream, a gold medal would be assured.
No problem.
Something I did want to mention.
Oh, creepy.
About the
Ooh, is that guy?
legacy
Hold
ops.
on to your
That
dookie.
is
It's
creepy.
about to get
Where are all
spooky.
those things? Did they come from the
Oh,
sea?
wait a minute. Oh, he knows. I think that Chris knows he's there.
I didn't think about this, but people in chat are saying it's very, very spooky. It's very Halloween themed.
That's true.
Sure.
Yeah. This is if there were
Absolutely.
any
Purpose.
legacy ops that were Halloween oriented, it would be the one that we are
But you
playing.
know,
Is that an
in all
accident?
fairness, 6 years ago, I guess we thought the same thing. For Halloween, aliens attacked Earth. for enemy unknown.
Oh God, what are these people standing on? That looks awfully interesting.
Is that a place where you might find a
Hot
a
dog.
nice a burger and a tasty
Pizza.
beverage?
Ice cream.
Could very well be.
Nice.
Excellent restaurant to have on the small town waterfront.
I agree.
Are we going to play through this one, or is this the end for tactical?
That was those two missions were all I wanted to show. I just wanted to get like a nice look at the weapons.
Okay.
but
Yeah, can you like
Perhaps
zoom in
we
a
could
little
even
bit?
zoom in on this guy
Like,
and check
oh,
this
look
blade
at
out.
look at the back of Central, just to see that sword.
Yeah.
Because if you zoom in a little bit,
The camera gets a little squirrely when you get zoomed in like that.
Oh.
I'm feeling lucky, but not that lucky.
all right, yep, nope.
try
That was a valiant effort, but it's cool because it's got that like kind of power pack on it and kind of shows like
Yeah.
how it's getting all lit up and getting its energy like from its power source and with the exposed cables, and it's just hats off to everybody that pitched in with this. The entire art team just really knocked it out of the park. When we gave them the kind of framing of this is the general timeline of what's happening and the kind of desperation that they're going to be in because they don't have manufacturing, and they just said, okay, that's a really cool idea, and I think I can make something neat. And they did with the armors with having little brackets or bullet holes that are patched over, and with these tiers of weapons having all the exposed bits, because it kind of gives it the, wow, this is really neat. It looks like it's going to do a lot of damage, but also, should I really be using this? Is this going to hurt me? Is this going to explode in my hands? Because we didn't have proper Q&A on this weapon before it was just thrown into combat. But it's just so cool to see it all come together.
I think that is what makes this pack so special, is that it's not just a remaster of these maps and these weapons and armors and things, but it's pulling those things and pulling them into XCOM 2's narrative and adding more of a concept to us bringing that stuff over, and I think it was done in a very special way.
Yeah. And so as much as we talk about everything that you see, because it's, giving hats off to, the weapons team and, like Nate Broach and David Pekanowski and all those guys and Brian Theodore and everything that he did. But some of the other unsung heroes are like Russell Aslan and like Ned Way and some other guys, Britt Steiner and girls that jumped in and helped us like get this game finished and get it done. And so just big hats off to those peeps. So it was a labor of love. We really did pour our heart into this, and I hope that everybody that's watching this is either got this on a second monitor while they're playing, or while it's downloading, or while they're getting ready to hop into a game, because it is amazing and it's a tremendous value. Like there's everything about this is amazing, and it's a big thank you to our fans. It's like, thank you for keeping turn-based tactics and strategy alive. Like we here at Firaxis really believe in it. We think it's an amazing genre that continues to be not necessarily like tapped as hard as it possibly could be, and so we're constantly trying to deliver the best turn-based strategy that we can. And this is just some more flavor for the XCOM universe, and we hope you guys love it. And it's a big thank you to you.
You stole my outro for me. My bad.
Sorry.
I was gonna leave without saying anything. Well, yeah. Thank you so much, you guys, for being on the stream. Any final words? You just had 10 minutes of final words.
Sorry.
My God. No,
Yeah, I'm
just
not
kidding.
going to top that. I'm not even going to try.
Hey, honestly, like, you're just looking handsome in that dashing sweater, so, I just...
Could have used it.
You may want to exercise restraint giving compliments.
We're all gonna just lie down.
Well
after
done.
this. No, everything you said was absolutely true. Thank you. Thank you for everyone for watching. It's out. TLP is out there. Go play it. You might have it and you don't even know it. If you have War of the Chosen on PC, Mac, and Linux, you have TLP. Go get it. If you don't have it, War of the Chosen is on sale everywhere, so it's a great time to pick it up. We'll be back next week with another live stream. Thanks so much for joining us. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun. Enjoy the Tactical Legacy Pack.